Yo guys, how's it going? We're here for our first episode of Manage Your Career Mode with Bat and Albion. We'll be doing this career mode. It'll be like my main career mode on this channel for, well, till the next FIFA, I suppose. I thought of using Burton because in the game they ain't exactly one of the best teams in the Championship, and I wanted it to be a bit of a challenge to get into the Premier League to start with, as well as when I actually get into the Premier League to see if I can actually stay up or not, because with their team they haven't got a lot of depth in the team to start with, so we'll have to introduce more depth to the squad, as well as put in some like world-class talent into the side as well, and building the first team as much as we can. Here we went in for one of the pre-season tournaments, as well as seeing some of the objectives we have for the season, which shouldn't be too hard. The financial one will be a bit of a struggle, as it's one of the main ones they'll be looking for. Here we go into a first game in our pre-season tournament against Aria, I think it is. As we see, they take an early 1-0 lead, but we fight back to get it back to one apiece just before half time. With this, we're really looking to make an impact in these tournaments because we need as much money as we can get, so as many points as we can get. But as you see, we do lose the first game 2-1, which isn't a good start to our season, let alone like I say, we need to make as much money as possible. Here we go into our first training session with some of the younger squad players. They ain't got exactly the best young squad players, so I'll have to try and sort that out as well. We get an offer for Dyer, which we do go in and see if they do want to try and buy Dyer for as much as we want, because he is a good player, and I know him from when he was playing at Leicester, and I know he was a good player there, but I don't know if he was as capable in the Championship as he would be in the Premier League. So we do try and sell him, as well as him being 34 at this point as well. There's not going to be too many seasons left for him to play, and we need, like I say, as much money as possible to try and build the squad as much as possible and try and get as many players in, so we ain't just got the amount of players we've got now isn't good enough for this season, because we'll be having to change players so often. We asked 400,000 for him, but they say they only want to give 200,000 plus 5% sell-on clause, which I don't see as being good enough, because the sell-on clause at the age of 34, I can see it working if it was like a young talented player, but as a 34-year-old, he isn't going to get much money if he is sold, and that's even if he is sold at 34. He'll probably just stay at that club until he retires, so there's no point in having the sell-on clause. But we say 400,000 plus this 5%, because I forgot to take off the 5% anyway, and they say no, 270,000 plus 5%. That 5% could help, but like I say, it's going to be nothing by the time if he does leave, and that's even if he does leave. And there's no point in trying to. So we do remove the sell-on clause there and ask for 400,000 again, because I think he's worth 400,000, even though he is 34 and only 66 rated, I believe. He's still worth something at this point, but they go ahead and decline that. They say they ain't willing to pay that much for him, which I suppose it's okay, because even though he is 34, for this season he'll still be able, like if he stays, he'll still be able to be like a squad building player. So we have an extra player in the side where we go in. And here we go into our second game in our pre-season tournament against William the Third, I believe. I don't know if it is actually pronounced that way. Straight away we go into this 1-0 up, then we take 2-0 in this 57th minute. They try and fight back, gaining it to 2-1, but couldn't fight back enough. Sadly for them, in the 90th minute we do win it 2-1. Again, going into our next training session, and with these training sessions, I'd like to know whether you guys actually want to see these in the career, or whether I should just get rid of them and there's no point in using them. So if you could type that in the comments, let me know, as well as the transfer business, like the animation where you go through, whether you want to see that as well. Here we go into our third and final group stage game against Oxford, another English side, which I believe they're in the league lower than us. But we do take a 1-0 lead and miss a penalty. And then we do go and score a second goal with Bent, which I'm surprised they actually have him at this side, because even though he is old now, he's still a good player. So he'll be a key player this season, I think, as we go into our semi-final game, I think it is, against, I don't know how you pronounce that team, so I ain't even going to try. We go 1-0 up, they go 1-0 up, sorry, and we fight back to get it to 1 apiece. Not really much happens here, and nothing happens, in fact, till the 90th minute and added time, where we go to penalties, and unfortunately we lose on penalties 4-3. But I suppose we've got as much money as we can out of that, so that's going to help. We get 2 offers here for Turner, which we go and reject on both, and an offer for Flanagan as well, which again we reject because they will be 2 of our main players in defence this season. And Ben Turner, I think, is a really good player, so I don't want to get rid of him at all. Not even for the right price for this season. Maybe next season, we'll see. If we've got enough money next season to bring in a better defender, then maybe look to selling him. But at the minute, even though he's 30 something as well, I believe, he's still going to be a key player this season. The same as Ben, I ain't going to look to sell either of those. As we go to try and sign our first player of the season in Jamal Blackman. The reason I'm trying to sign him is, I believe, is it Bywater would have been the main goalkeeper in this side, and he's 30, he's in his late 30s, I believe, and he's just not going to be good enough for this league. So I think Jamal Blackman, I've known him since he's been at Chelsea. He was like a prospect there for a while, and then didn't really hear about him for a while, and then he seems to be doing quite well in the Championship at the minute, or League One, I can't quite remember where Sheffield are. But yeah, we go in for him, 67 rated, only 23 years old, so there is room for improvement. He may not be a next level talented prospect, but for the first few seasons, if he can go up in a few overalls, he'll definitely be able to add some strength to the team. And to be fair, with this side, I don't exactly see us getting promoted in the first season, and that's only because with the amount of squad depth we have, I don't see that being able to be used as much as I can. Switch players, I ain't going to be able to switch them as much, which means players are going to get tired in games. And even though I will obviously try and sort it in a way that I can do it to try and get the best out of the players, it's still going to be difficult. As you see here, we do get they do accept the Blackman offer, which is brilliant if we can actually sign him. And like I say, with this, whether you actually want to see this, type it in the comments. If you don't want to be seeing this, then I'll just scrap it, and I'll just show you highlights of whatever. say if we do sign a player, then I'll show you when we have signed him, I suppose. As we go in for Tom Hopper, as again I've known him since Leicester, and he didn't seem to be that good a prospect when he was at Leicester, and he's 23, 63 overall. I know that isn't good as such for the Championship as well, because it is a really difficult league now, but we need that squad depth, and that's what I've signed him for. Say if we, because obviously I don't think this season we're going to be going in for like cups and stuff, so I've just put him in for cup games, because we don't want to be using them cup games as much as we do. They do accept the offer, so hopefully I'll be signing him as well. As we go in for Jordan Wills now, I've known him for a while as well now, and he seemed like a really good prospect. Being at Coventry when they was in League One, he seemed like he was going to be like a really good player, but since I didn't realise Coventry had even gone down to League 2 until I'd gone into FIFA and had a look for, like, I think it was Wills. I was looking for certain players from Coventry and trying to find them, and then went down to League 2 and realised we were in League 2, which I didn't really realise, which I don't think. There used to be a really good team in League 1 as well. But yeah, like I say, with Wills as well, he'll be like a talented prospect for the Championship and like the early years of the Premier League. And again, like squad depth is going to be the main key that we'll be looking for, I think, in this transfer window, more than increasing the first team. And they do accept as well. So that's 3 players we have the chance of signing and going on to contract offers, which is brilliant for us. Here we do go in to try and get Blackman's contracts done, which again, it will be brilliant if we do, with the calibre of goalkeepers we have isn't very high. We've got a couple of younger goalkeepers in the squad, but they're only like 50, late 50 overalls, and it isn't really the best, because if we get an injury to our main goalkeeper, we've got not the best backup goalkeeper, which isn't the best when you're trying to win as many games as possible and like aim for, I'd say, mid-table sort of thing. As we offer him an important contract, because I didn't want to go too high and say crucial, because if I say crucial, I can see it being like he's going to be, oh well, like you have to play me every game all the time. But in cup games, in certain games where I want to switch the squad round a bit, he isn't going to be playing them games as much. He will be playing pretty much all season, but I do want to switch the squad round to try and get as much out of most of the players as I can, and try and keep the squad energetic and still be able to have like full stamina for all the players in every game. Plus, with being in the Championship, the players ain't going to have as high a stamina anyway, as we do get him on a 4-year deal. Well, try to at least. He accepts the 4 years, which I think with players this FIFA, it seems to be harder to get him on like 5-year deals, whereas before you could literally say 5-year deal and they accept it, whereas now they seem to negotiate a bit more over that, which in a way I'm happy about, because then you ain't got like all your players coming in and asking for a contract at once for one, and it seems to be a bit more of a challenge, which I like. Here we do go in to try and get him on a wage. His wage is 13,000, I believe, and that, to be fair, I see as being quite high for someone that will only be in the Championship. I don't see why they want so much money for the Championship, so we offer 10,000, which, another thing that I like about this year is that a lot of players take a wage deduction, which is brilliant, being as at least now you can actually negotiate over things like that, whereas before it was either you go higher than what they want or the exact same, you can't go lower. Now he own, like I say, on 13,000 now only wants 10.5. That's brilliant. With the signing on bonus as well, it seems to be a bit more in depth, which is good, which I like about it as well. Again, with stuff like this, whether you want to see this in career as well, if you don't, then I can get rid of it and only show you like whether they accept or not. Is here Jamal Blackman does accept, which I'm very happy about. He'll be a key player this season for us. I think he'll be a good player for the championship as well, because being as they're in, I think it's League One. I believe it's. I'm sorry if it isn't, but I think they are in League One. For a League One player, 67 overall for a goalkeeper is quite high for League One, I believe. So it's more of a championship suited player, I think, for like mid-table to like challenge him for playoffs, because I don't think we will be there as such, but I think mid-table it'll be our key places. We're going for our another offer for Jordan Wills for his contract. We say a rotation player because, like I say, he'll be more of a squad depth player more than a first team. So hopefully he'll be able to do play in like a few games in the league, but mainly cup games. But say if we do get knocked out of the cup, then he'll be playing a lot of league games as well. So it's not like he'll be, if there ain't no league game, cup games, then he just won't be played. He will be played in like maybe some of the easier, what I'd class as easier opponents in the championship. Here, like I said before, with the contract negotiation, he's only accepting 2 years, which for a 22-year-old player, I'd say for a 22-year-old, they'd probably want to accept a higher contract, but 2 years is fine. And again, like I say, wage deductions, which I see being very, very good for our season, being as, like I say, we have to save as much money as possible. For 4,000 for Wills on the wage, I think, especially when it's 4,000 and he's in League 2, like that's a high wage for a League 2 player. But 4,007 again, like even though it ain't where I wanted it to be, it's still a good offer. It's still good that he's still taking a wage deduction to come into a higher league, which you don't normally see. You'd think, oh, well, he's coming into a higher league paying more. But if he ain't going to be as a crucial part of the team, then I don't see why he should be paying more for them. So we go back in and again and say 4,002 is, like I say, we need to save as much money as possible this season and try and get maybe some of the financial situations up in the squad, and then look to buy in some of the better players next season. With signing on bonuses, I don't really like mess around with them that much, even though it is a good like addition to the transfer negotiations. I don't mess around with it as much because it takes a bit too much time for me. But Jordan Wills does accept, so that's the second signing of 3. As we go in for the third and final one, Tom Hopper, like I say, going to be a squad rotation player at the most. He'll be like a squad depth player. He'll come in at certain points, and you never know, he might be one of them players that are low overall but absolutely smash it. Because I can remember, who was it? Naki Wells in like one of the earlier FIFAs. He was like 66 overall, 67 overall. I used to smash it out with him in like the top level of Premier League, and it was unreal. You never know, he might be the next one, even though he hasn't got as much pace. He's more strength. He could there's always teams, as it seems like, even though it don't seem like that much of a deal, it seems like you could use certain players in certain games. Like pacey players might not work as well as a stronger player would against certain teams, even though you don't really see that as much, and you're probably thinking, oh, it doesn't work like that. But I think it actually does become a factor in certain games. You need like stronger players in certain games to play against certain teams, as well as like you need pacier players against certain teams than you do stronger players. Here he says 2 years. Again, it's quite low years, but it will still help with whatever we have to do. Like I say, because he's a squad depth player at the minute, if he doesn't grow too high, he isn't going to be staying at the club that long anyway. Not if we get into the Premier League like we're hoping to. Which again, like, it's, even though we ain't, I am looking towards doing it this season, but I see it being probably the second season that we get promoted. I don't see us getting promoted in the first season, and if we do, it will be very, very, very difficult next season to get up into the, like, to stay in the Premier League with the team we'd have at that point. We probably won't have that much money. We'll have a good amount to spend, but not that much, I don't think. And that's going to be a problem when you're in the Premier League with the players and the team that we have. One, not a lot of squad depth. And two, very, very, very difficult with the players we've got. But Hopper does accept, so that's 3 out of 3 signings for today's episode. As we see, they do come in for Bywater. I say accept, just get rid of him. And that'll be the end of today's episode. Thank you for watching. If you want to see the next episode of Career Mode, probably either tonight or early tomorrow morning, then leave a like, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.